Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So it's currently Friday morning and I have to give a presentation at work today, but I have to go to a different hospital that I've been at for the past couple weeks. So today we're just gonna do a little get ready with me and we're gonna talk about just everything of my first year of fellowship because it has been a wild ride to say the least, and I feel like we're coming towards the end of my first year and I've just learned so much in fellowship, and I just want to talk about all the things that I've been able to do and learn and how great of a year I've had. I'm gonna try to do my makeup here. I feel like the lighting is great, but I don't have a mirror, so hopefully my makeup comes out good. We'll see. So if you guys don't already know me, let me just introduce myself. My name is Keshu. I am a board certified internal medicine doctor and I'm currently training to become a GI fellow. I'm in my first year of fellowship. I finished my residency about this time last year and got into fellowship just at the end of my first year of fellowship now, and it's been going so good. I can't explain to you how much I love fellowship. I feel like everybody talks about fellowship being like this crazy experience, but I've had so much fun and I feel like I'm truly cherishing the time that I'm here just because it's going by so fast. And even with residency, the same thing happened where, you know, in the moment the days feel long, you're exhausted, you're tired, but looking back at how fast those 3 years passed, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm actually enjoying fellowship and I know that it's gonna go by so much faster. I've just been trying to cherish every single moment that I've had in my program and it's been going really good. I feel like I've talked about a little bit how I got into GI and what kind of motivated me to become a GI doctor and pursue this fellowship. It kind of was a bunch of things that came together. So in med school, I remember doing a rotation in GI and I just really liked the culture of the specialty and all the people that I had met while I was rotating there. I was always very interested in the GI pathology. I feel like when I was studying for my shelves and stuff, the GI section was the easiest for me, and for some reason it just clicked, it just made sense. That's how I first kind of got interested in it. I also really enjoyed my surgical rotation when I was a med student. I know a lot of people don't say that because it is a very time-consuming rotation. You're up really early at like 4 a.m., you have long hours, you're working weekends, you're always on your feet. Besides the amount of time I had to spend at the hospital, I really enjoyed surgery as a specialty just because it was so interesting. It was very hands-on. I liked doing procedures. I think that's what I liked about it. I wasn't a huge fan of kind of like rounding all day, but I wasn't a fan of the kind of toxic culture that came with surgery. I know all places aren't like that, but a lot of places are, unfortunately. It's just something that I knew that I wouldn't be able to deal with on a day-to-day basis just based off of my personality and those sort of things. I knew that the surgical lifestyle wouldn't mesh with me. So I picked internal medicine because I liked all the different options that I had from internal medicine. You know, you could become a hospitalist, you could do primary care, you could do a fellowship. And then also GI was kind of a mix of a surgical specialty because you do so many procedures. So I felt like I got the best of both worlds, where I got the lifestyle of internal medicine and then the surgical procedural aspect of surgery. And that's what made me love GI so much. And kind of the last thing that gave me that final push to apply GI was when I had moved to Florida for internal medicine residency. I actually was looking for a GI doctor because I had an H. pylori infection, and I remember looking for all the GI doctors in my area and none of them were female. Like, I could maybe find one in the 10 GI doctors that I found that was a female, and obviously they're like booked out for months. So I was like, this is just more motivation to get a woman in this field because we need more women in GI. So that was kind of the last thing. I ended up matching into GI my third year of internal medicine. She GI is a very competitive specialty to match into, so I was honestly kind of shocked when I matched, and I just feel truly lucky to have matched. It's kind of like the thing that I've always wanted. Like, this is where I've always wanted to end up, is doing GI, and I just feel so grateful that I was able to match and be able to pursue this career path. And I have been having so much fun. I got into fellowship at the same program that I did my internal medicine residency, so luckily for me, I didn't have to move at the end of the year, and I think that was a huge load of stress that got taken off my plate, because moving between, you know, where you did your residency to where the next step of your life takes you, whether that be your job or fellowship, is really difficult, just because there's so many things that are going on at the end of your residency, like graduation. You have to take your boards and study for them. If you're trying to move, like, people get married, people get engaged, people want to take vacation. Like, there's so much that's going on, and it's just hard to coordinate all these types of things. But I was just glad that I didn't have to deal with the stress of moving, because that would have been a lot more stressful. But I ended up just kind of staying where I am and easily transitioning into fellowship, which was amazing. It's actually so funny though, because I had someone ask me the other day, like, when did you start scoping, which is like the procedures. So we do colonoscopies, endoscopies, those procedures. I was like, July 1st, which is the first day that you are considered a fellow. They hand you the scope and they say, go do your thing. But luckily, you know, there's always people to help guide you. Like, the attendings are there, you have your older fellows that are there, the nurses are there to help you as well. So everybody's kind of just collaborative and will help you, you know, to succeed, which was so kind of everyone. And it's really scary kind of doing those things by yourself for the first time, especially a procedure, because obviously procedures are a little bit more invasive than most other things. So it's kind of scary doing those things for the first time, but you get used to it. And I definitely feel that in my program, we have so many procedures that are available for us to do. I would say that I am doing procedures pretty much every single day that I'm at work, and so you get a good deal of experience doing all these procedures. So at the beginning, I did feel a little bit nervous, and I was struggling to do certain maneuvers and, you know, growing pains as everyone goes through when they first start something new. But we have had so much experience with these procedures now that, looking back at how I felt at the beginning of the year compared to where I am now, I'm like, wow, I have grown so much in terms of the skills that I'm able to do now compared to what I was able to do at the beginning of the year. And it's just crazy to look back. And the funny thing is, I feel like I did a really good job documenting my milestones on TikTok. So I feel like I have those to go and look back at now and just be like, oh my God, I remember when I did this for the first time, or that for the first time, or this procedure, or this maneuver. And it's just crazy to look back and see just how far 1 year can take you. So I'll give you guys an example. I feel like at the beginning of the year, I was trying to do some really simple procedures, and obviously that's how you start out, by doing the small stuff first, then you get into the big stuff. And I remember some days where I would do colonoscopies and I would need help because I wasn't able to get past a certain point, or I just needed some help doing a certain maneuver like suctioning or helping to untwist the scope. And yesterday I did a very serious patient that was in the intensive care unit, and you know, we went in, we did the colonoscopy for her and helped her out. So it's just crazy to see, again, how things change so quickly in the span of 1 year. But I definitely do feel like my skills have improved greatly since I started fellowship. I feel just so passionate about procedures, so whenever I'm doing them, I feel like I give it my all and my utmost, and I have like this total concentration that I never knew that I had before. And it's just so interesting to watch, I think, and realize myself. But in the span of another month or so, we're gonna have new fellows that come in, and we're gonna be the seniors now, and I'm gonna be teaching someone else all the skills that I learned throughout the past 1 year. It'll just be interesting to see how the dynamic will be of me as a senior versus me as, you know, the little intern. But it'll definitely be fun, and I'm definitely very excited for what's next to come. I feel like fellowship just gets better and better every day, and I tell this to a lot of people. It's like, I actually enjoy going to work and I have fun at work, whereas I think towards the end of residency, I was feeling so burned out and just so tired tired and exhausted. Also, there's a part of me that knew this is not going to be what I'm doing for the rest of my life because I had already matched into fellowship. So I was just kind of like eager to get on my way and start fellowship and kind of get to doing what I wanted to do. So towards the end of residency, I was definitely burned out, very tired, just ready to be done. But with fellowship, I'm kind of just like reflecting on now it's the end of the first year and I'm like, I don't want more days to go by. I don't want this fellowship to end. I want to stay in training forever, I want to say. That's obviously not going to happen. I'm going to become an attending one day. It's just going by so fast and it's kind of scary how time flies sometimes. But in terms of hours that I work a pretty good schedule. Sometimes when we're on an outpatient rotation, it's a typical clinic schedule, so like a 9 to 5 or something. But when I'm on an inpatient rotation, it really depends. So some days I can be going in at 7, some days I can be leaving at 4, some days I could be leaving at 7. It just kind of depends on how the day goes. It also depends on the emergency cases and the patients. You know, if there's a person that needs intervention immediately, you know, we have to go in and do it. So sometimes my days on the weekdays are very TBD of what time I'll get home or what time I'm going in, and it's kind of based off of the patients. I don't mind it. Me being type A, I would love to have a more set schedule. I'm sure you guys already know that, but it is what it is. And you know, when a patient comes in, that's what you're there for. That's what you're training to do. And like, I don't mind it at all. I actually have fun when I'm there with patients. So it doesn't feel like work anymore. It just feels like I'm doing what I want to do. I also feel that within the past year, I've built a lot of confidence in myself as a doctor. You know, when you're in residency, I feel like your confidence is at an all-time low because there's so much that you need to learn. You can be wrong a lot of the time, and it's just a huge learning process and a learning curve. Towards the end of residency, I did definitely feel confident in my skills, but I felt nervous being in attending, if that makes sense. And I'm sure a lot of people feel that way. Nobody feels fully ready to go in to the attending world being an attending. I think everyone's excited to finish residency and being attending because of the aspect that you're finally done. You're actually making money now. You can start to pay off your loans, you can move, whatever. But in terms of actually working the job, it's rough for the first couple of months. That's what everybody says. And then after that, you kind of start to get the hang of things, and then you get into your own groove, and then it starts to get easier slowly and slowly. But I feel like definitely being in fellowship has gotten me to feel more confident about just my skills as a doctor, but also as a GI doctor specifically. Throughout this past year, you know, at the beginning, I was like, I don't know if we should, you know, do a colonoscopy on this person or do an endoscopy on this person, and I would have to consult with the attending that we're working with. But now I feel like I've gotten to a point where I'm like kind of running the show in the sense that I go see the patient, I know whether or not they need to be scoped, and then I can go tell the endoscopy suite, like, schedule this patient, and I get to do that all like autonomously. And I feel like that's something that's grown so much in the past year, is just my autonomy with the patients and being able to make my own decisions and feel confident in those decisions with all the medical knowledge that I've also gained in the past year. A lot of people are also like, fellowship's another 3 years on top of your residency. Is it worth doing a fellowship? And my answer is that yes, to me, it was completely worth it because one, it's something that I'm passionate about and something that I am so excited to wake up every single day and do. If you do not feel that way about the fellowship that you're going into, you're not going to enjoy fellowship because, again, it is still a lot of work, but you're actually enjoying the work that you're doing and you feel grateful to be there. So unless you feel that way and you're passionate about a certain field, like, I would recommend sticking to kind of what you intended to do. Like, if you wanted to go in and be a hospitalist but are teetering on the edge of maybe becoming a consultant, don't actually become a consultant unless you're passionate about it, because the consultant life is actually a lot of work also, but you're just happy that you're doing something that you want to do. So that would be my advice on the situation. A lot of people also ask me how I like training in Florida, and I honestly love it. I know a lot of people have said things about like the Florida medical system, but I haven't had any issues with it. I think the interesting thing for me will be when I move to another state in the future and seeing how their healthcare system and their hospital runs compared to what I'm used to here. Because in my whole training career, I would probably have only trained between maybe 1 or 2 hospitals. So it'll be interesting to see how these other hospitals operate and if there's anything different. Another question I feel like a lot of people have been asking me recently is what type of work I want to do after I graduate fellowship. And at first I really had wanted to do like an outpatient based clinic type of work, but I don't know, every time I go and work in the hospital, I feel like I get to do such cool and fun things that I'm like, wow, this would be really fun to do. Maybe not every single day, but once in a while. So maybe there's a job out there for me that kind of mixes a majority of clinic, but then also a little bit of hospital work, so I can still go in and do some procedures. I want to definitely find something that gives me a good balance. I think that's the one thing that, you know, going through medical school, going through residency and fellowship, the one thing I always told myself is at the end of the day, I wanted work-life balance. Like, I want to be able to spend time with my family, my friends, my kids one day. So I want to be present in all of these people around me's lives, and I don't want to be sucked into work. That is my priority, I think, in this next phase of life, is finding something that balances my work, balances my career, balances my family and friends, and being able to do the things that I love, like traveling and fitness and etc. But this is the finished look. Thank you guys for listening to me yap, and I'll see you guys in the next video.